So, did you succeed? Let's now build this together. And for this here, in this scaffold body, I'll use Flutter's list view builder constructor here to create a scrollable list view that makes sure that only items that are actually visible will be displayed, to optimize performance for scenarios where we might have very long lists. So here we then must pass a value for item builder, and that, as you learn, should be a function that takes context and an index. And then this simply builds all these list items, and for every list item that gets built here, I want to output the meal information. In this case here, for the moment, simply a text widget that outputs the name of the meal. For this, I'll access my meals list and then one specific meal by index, and then simply the title, like this. Now, of course, we also could have a scenario where we got no meals, and therefore to handle this as well, I will actually add an if statement here to my build method, where I check if meals is empty, so if I get an empty list of meals here. And in this case, I want to set my body to something different. Therefore, I'll add a new variable of type widget, which defines my content or body, however you want to name it. I'll go for content. And here I'll set this to this list view here, like this. But if my meals are empty, I'll instead set content equal to the center widget, where I then output a child. And here my child will be a column, where I set the main axis size to min, so that this column really is centered and is not unconstrained vertically. And the children of the column here are two text widgets in the end. The first text widget simply says, uh-oh, nothing here. And then I have a sized box for spacing with a height of 16. And these two widgets here can be turned into constant objects. And then I want to have another text widget where I could say, try selecting a different category. And here I now actually want to apply a specific style with theme of, and then I'll access the text theme and use the body large text variant to then copy it with that exclamation mark in front of it to tell Dart that this text variation will be defined in this theme. So to copy it with a different color, that's the goal here in the end. I'll use a different color, and the color I want to use here will also be taken from the theme, and they are from the color scheme, and it should be the on background color. And to make sure that I get some auto formatting here and this becomes readable again, I'll quickly set this content as a value for body down here in the scaffold, so that I got no more errors in this code file. And now after formatting the code, this is in the end how my content looks like if my meals are empty. I'm outputting this text here, and I indeed also want to apply some styling to the first text, so I'll copy over this style parameter with its value, but here I will access headline large, so a different predefined text variant, but then also set this text's color to the on background color. And this now can't be const anymore since I'm deriving some theming data dynamically. Now, of course, these exact styles, as always, are up to you. And we could also switch the order here, by the way, and set this here as our default value for content, and set this list view here as a value if meals is not empty, so if we have meals. But ultimately, this is up to you. I'll go for this default here though and output my content. And now to see whether or not that worked, I'll go to the main Dart file, and temporarily I'll replace the categories screen there with the meals screen. And of course, for that you must import the meals screen, the meals.dart file from the screens folder. And then on that screen, you of course have to pass a value for title, like for example, some category. And soon this will be dynamic, but for the moment, I'll just hard code some dummy data. And then the meals, which we could set to an empty list to see whether our fallback content is displayed correctly. So let's see whether that works. If I restart this, looks good. Or to show the actual meals that we have. And for that, it's worth noting that in dummy data, the meals list has a name of dummy meals. So in the end, it's this list which I want to use in main Dart now, dummy meals. And for this to work, you must import the dummy-data.dart file into this main.dart file. But with this set, we should be able to output the list, though I'm getting an error here because indeed I forgot in the meals.dart file on this list view to tell Flutter how many items I'll have, and therefore I'm getting an error. Indeed, here we should set the item count and set it to meals.length. So this line of code here is important to make sure that Flutter renders the list view correctly. With that, it works, and the styling is off, but it's also not the final styling, but we can see some meal titles here. A bit hard to read, but again, this is not final yet. We'll of course improve this. But the general logic works.